We got to talk about where the media that was at the SEC Media Days actually ranks the teams that were there. Because that feels important. Like after the circus, after the presentation of every single team, every single coach, now how do you feel exiting the season about where these teams are? So here's where every SEC team lies. Georgia, first. Texas, second. Ole Miss, third. Texas A&M, fourth. LSU, fifth. Interesting, just throwing it out there, interesting that Ole Miss is ahead of LSU. LSU, remember, Lane Kiffin, college football coach, beloved by some, hated by a lot, is now at LSU. Ole Miss, Pete Golding, they're going on an adventure. It's just going to be interesting to see where LSU ends up this season, because you could say that LSU has the harder schedule compared to Ole Miss. I honestly might say it's probably about even. But at the end of the day, LSU behind Ole Miss, Texas A&M fourth, Alabama sixth. I will say it probably would have been better for Alabama if they named a starting quarterback heading into SEC Media Days. Now, Kalen DeBoer doesn't give a rip. Like he doesn't care where his team is ranked heading into the season. What he cares, what he knows about is my team is here. I have belief in my team and they are here. He doesn't care that he hasn't named a starting quarterback publicly yet, but at the same time, they probably would have been ranked a little bit higher if a starting QB was named. We move on. Oklahoma, 7. That's crazy. It's wild, especially because John Mateer, injured last season, came back, wasn't fully healthy as he was playing. He has said that on numerous occasions. People who talk about college football, care about college football, have made comments about this. We go, well, if he was healthy, would it be a little bit of a different season for Oklahoma? Probably would have been a little bit of a different season. I could see Oklahoma finishing top 4 in the SEC. That feels like a wild statement, but they really could. And at the end of the day, all these rankings, they just create content for people like you and me, just the bozos, to talk about. They're feeding scraps to us. They're like, here you go. Just remember us. Football season's almost here. What do we got? 6 more Saturdays? Something beautiful. They're like, here you go. Just remember us. We're coming. We're coming soon. But just take this. Eat from our hand. And so it's, I don't know. Like Texas finishing second, they didn't make the playoffs last year. This year's going to be a little bit different. I think Texas will make the playoffs this year. I think Texas fans actually have a lot of things to look forward to. Apparently, I'm wearing burnt orange in your honor to the podcast listeners. Sorry. It's one of my favorite shirts. Not because of the color, but it's one of my few shirts in rotations. I don't know if you, side note, this specifically speaking to the men and women, but I feel like you probably have a little bit more options and you're probably better about creating options and opportunities. But for the men, do you just got a t-shirt rotation? Because I have about 5 or 6 that I just, every week, that's it. The t-shirts go on rotation. I don't have much more than that. I do have more, but they're tucked away in a drawer, and they honestly should probably go to Goodwill. If being honest, I need to make a Goodwill trip. That's neither here nor there. We're talking about how Oklahoma is 7th, and you know what? John Mateer probably has a t-shirt rotation. So I can see Oklahoma actually finishing in the top 4. I'll say it. Texas A&M very likely could finish lower than 4th. And then once you get below Oklahoma, there's not a ton of variability that I see within the conference of teams that could actually move up to different levels or teams that could drop down. Because honestly, I think it's probably about where it's going to be. Because you look next, it's Tennessee. Tennessee, nobody's super high on Tennessee coming into this season. Tennessee, with Josh Heupel, it's better than what they've had. Can they be better? 100%. I think there's opportunity. I think there's money there. I think there's ways that Tennessee can be better. But Joey Aguilar, him not being able to play for Tennessee this year, that was for sure a bummer. That is absolutely a bummer. That's going to change the way that this season goes for them. But at the same time, Tennessee finishing one spot, just one, above new coach John Sumrall in Florida. Tennessee probably got about 100 more votes than Florida, which by comparison, the drop-off from Oklahoma to Tennessee, 600 votes. 600 votes. Points, whatever. Where Oklahoma got 1,914 for those of you listening and counting them up at home. Tennessee, 1,320. That is a massive difference. And then let's just read off, because there's a big drop off from 1 and 2 down to 3. Georgia, 25-19. Texas, 24-49. Ole Miss, 2004. Texas A&M, 1967. So there's a big drop off, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then you go down from 7 to 8. So it's almost as if media has these guys ranked in specific tiers, and you can go all the way down more. There's a difference between Auburn and Vanderbilt. That's 12 and 13, and then Arkansas is in a league of their own. Nobody thinks Arkansas is going to be good this year. It's a bummer for the Hogs. It's a big bummer. There's a lot of opportunity there. And just opportunity. The land of opportunity. The Arkansas Razorbacks. That feels right. So Tennessee is in 8th. Florida is in 9th with 12-17. Missouri with 11-05. Then you got South Carolina, 956. I will say, I think South Carolina has the opportunity to be at the top of the bottom, just so to speak. Shane Beamer, he's absolutely on the hot seat. Lenore Sellers didn't perform as well as you would have hoped last season. A lot of that came down to offensive line play. It wasn't awesome. It's probably the best way to say it. Like it wasn't awesome. It wasn't good. What definitely wasn't great. It wasn't awesome. And if you want to just put a little bow on it, it wasn't good. And we're just going to leave it at that. It wasn't good. So I think South Carolina has the opportunity to bounce back this year. New offensive line coach, new offensive coordinator with Kendall Briles. Yeah, I just pointed out a Baylor hat that's on the desk, just so everybody's clear and aware there. And I really do think, speaking of land of opportunity with Arkansas, there actually is land of opportunity with South Carolina. I think that they really could finish top 10 in the SEC. With Lenore Sellers actually being one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Oh, yeah. No, I said it. He has the opportunity. I'm not saying he's going to, but a better offensive line gives him a much better chance to actually be the guy that everybody thought he was going to be last season. Because everybody last season was talking about Lenore Sellers. He's going to be a Heisman candidate. He's going to be one of the best QBs in the nation. Didn't happen. Far and away didn't happen. A massive bummer for South Carolina overall. 4-8 was their record last season. There's so much room for improvement for South Carolina. It's hard to say that your floor is anything worse than 4-8. There's an opportunity to be so much better this season. So coming away, looking at SEC Media Day rankings, it's very clear that people think Georgia's going to win the conference. Very clear that they think Texas is not far behind. But the age-old question, specifically for Texas, it's always, will they actually show up this year? Will the Longhorns actually show up this year? Because Texas fans and Dallas Cowboy fans, kind of one and the same. They just kind of shake hands. They hold hands as they walk down a desolate road in a desolate place with a bunch of mirages around them. And you know what those mirages are as they walk around? It's pretend. It's pretend. I grew up a Longhorn fan, I am a Cowboys fan, and it's tough, to say the least. It's just tough. Because every year there's hype, there's expectation, and you start tuning it out. You stop listening to it because as you walk down the road of desolation, the road of isolation, the road full of mirages and dreams that are about to be shattered, you kind of stop listening to it. So any Longhorn fan that is listening, any Texas fan that is watching, you're seeing this going, yeah, sure, Arch is supposed to be better this year, which we all hope Arch is supposed to be better this year. Last year, he wasn't even that bad. It was just insane expectations that he didn't live up to, but he kind of finished the season pretty decently. If you go back and look at his statistics from last season, I will harp on that consistently. Onward we go. You got one of the top wide receivers in the transfer portal in Cam Coleman. Parker Livingston is gone. That's fine. Defense is supposed to be stellar. Got Will Muschamp in there. So there's a lot of things that are supposed to be good for Texas, But there's always supposed to be things that are good for Texas. How's it going to shape out this year? Yet to be seen. We will see what happens for the Texas Longhorns. One last thing on the Media Day rankings before we move on to what just outlandish things were said at the SEC Media Day conference. It's not a conference, SEC Media Days. I really do think, again, South Carolina could finish higher. That drop-off from Oklahoma down to Tennessee, that's worth noting. That media members don't have high confidence in any other team outside of the top 7: Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, LSU, Alabama, Oklahoma. Outside of that, not a ton of confidence. First-year coaches, again, outside of LSU and Lane Kiffin, not getting love. They are not getting love, which makes sense. You got a whole new crew coming in. You got a whole new team to deal with. But the media members feel confident about the established teams with established track records and established everything. So Georgia's going to win the SEC. That's what we established right here. Because, these always go according to plan. So that's going to be exciting for Georgia. Congrats on winning the SEC.